Hi everyone, welcome to Smash and Grab Comics. This is Tyler. I'm your host tonight. With me, like always, is the incredible J.P. Jones.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
I'm here, baby.
Yeah, you're like the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. And of course,
You wouldn't like me when I'm
got-
angry.
No, you wouldn't like me.
Here's green skin. Green.
Of course. What else can I say? But we've got TR with us. I couldn't think of something cool. Just
I
stay
mean,
with
you
it.
could have said the mutton chops.
I know, but that's played out.
Just
It's
like-
not even funny anymore.
The dude, he's here. The person.
He's with us. He's one of us. You guys play that game Among Us?
No, I have it on. I have it downloaded for mobile though. I think I'm trying to find a group to like play with because I
So-
feel like I wouldn't like. I would need somebody to guide me, like figure out what's going on because I feel like I would be terrible at it right away.
It's super simple.
Yeah, it's like the
so,
thing.
So there's nothing to really figure out. I mean, you get it right away, but
It's the thing.
I-
One person.
yep.
Yeah.
I just don't like my students. It's taken off,
Sure.
and they're obsessed with it. TR, have you played it?
No, I
So
don't even know what it is.
It's a mobile game.
But it's
where-
also on PC.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Mhm.
Okay. So what
Supporting
it
crossplay.
is a very simple character that's an astronaut, and then you join a team. It's an online game. So you join a team and you blast off. While on your trip, one of you who is the suspect, you murder one of the other people.
I have seen
Or you murder all the
stuff
people.
about this on TikTok.
Yeah,
You're
you
the-
murder all the people if you can.
You're the.
That's the
you're an alien among a group of astronauts,
Yep.
and then you're trying to
It's
figure out
like
who it is.
that
It's a
game back
deduction
in the
game.
day
And then-
where there was that one person that was the murderer.
It's like
and
Clue.
then
Okay.
Everyone had to put their heads down, and the murderer would tap you on the head or some.
Heads up, 7-Up.
Yeah, a little
No,
bit.
no,
okay.
that was a
but
different
yeah,
game.
but okay, I loved Heads Up 7-Up, man.
Heads up, 7-Up was awesome.
Okay.
Who didn't cheat? Who didn't try?
Who
to
I
didn't
cheated.
fucking
I cheated.
I was such
Did you
a
put your
cheater.
head in your arm?
I was such
And then
a
you just look at
goddamn-
their shoes.
You got it on JP. Yeah, I
You
was
just look
such a
at their
goddamn damn cheater.
all this.
I don't know anyone who says they didn't. I think is a dishonest
liar, dude.
person,
I-
which makes you even
Fucking
worse
liar.
because you cheated and
I-
you lied.
I was a cheater.
Yep.
Hi,
Yep.
Tyler for president.
I didn't cheat though.
I did.
I didn't cheat. I did not
I
have
told
sex with that woman.
Yes, you did.
That is probably my best impression, right?
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Okay, Among Us is so then
$1 million.
So then-
did I get the? Did I do it right?
So
Pretty
close,
close.
so close. So then the person they suspect is the suspect. They can boot him out by
can-
voting out. You vote, and then
Jettison.
whoever has the most votes is kicked out of that round.
Just kicked out of the airlock.
Yeah, and you're floating out in space, but you get to watch the gameplay till
you
it-
can't
till
talk
it
anymore.
resets.
Yeah.
Nope, but you don't get to communicate anymore. And well, anyway, it's a huge obsession.
What a beautiful
it's
lesson for children.
it's
Kill the one that's different. It's a lot like Shrek, which is stick to your own kind
yeah.
and don't trust
but
short
the
people.
but the
Find
one
the imposter.
But here's the thing: the imposter though is murder. His job is to murder everybody.
Can't
and
we live
as
and
the-
let live?
As the round
No.
is starting, you're told if you're the imposter or if you're one of the other ones. Okay. But my students are obsessed with it, and I don't know if it's just a teenager thing or if you guys are into
No,
it.
I know what it is. I haven't actually played it yet because I'm too busy playing like Call of Duty and
Playing
different
cool
things.
stuff.
Call of
I'm
what?
not saying, yeah. I'm not saying that Among Us isn't cool because I know it's huge, like taking off because the idea is so simple and really the meat of the gameplay is just the interaction with people.
Yep. It is definitely a COVID-inspired game. I mean, because it's all these people.
It's a
live game.
It's a gaming soap opera. I mean,
Yep.
the drama.
Yeah, my students, like when we have downtime and I'm like, oh, you guys can get your phones out, it erupts because they're like yelling at each other from across the room. You're the suspect. You're the suspect. I'm like, shut up. I'm like,
You, Timmy.
the point of giving you guys phone time is for you to be quiet. And you're sitting here screaming at each other, saying, it's not me. I'm not the suspect. You know.
Yeah.
Just say that to him. Like straight up say it like in front of the whole class. Go, listen, we're about to have time where you guys get to have your phones out. But let me tell you why that is allowed.
You should secretly
You
join.
all need to shut the absolute fuck up.
I wish I could. But no. They do
You should
that.
secretly join one of their games and just be in there.
They ask me to a lot.
You should try it. I think they would enjoy it.
It would be, but I don't want to cross that line where I'm doing
Sure.
stuff with the kids.
Yeah.
Where, then it's getting around like, yeah, Johnson just joins in on it. Like, as much as I would like to, but I also have to remember that I'm a teacher too, and I
Just
have
a
to.
professional line.
Yeah, and I just feel like joining in on their game instead of like using that time to like grade assignments or whatever.
Yeah.
When I give them free time, just I don't know.
Defeats the purpose.
I
of that
don't
time.
want to do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it defeats the purpose of the time. And I don't want to set a precedence where every time they want to play that game, yeah, let's get Johnson in here, because they think involving me in anything where they can make me look stupid is a good time.
That's their job.
Right.
That's their job.
And I am happy to be the butt most of the time. But, like I said, when I give out phone time, it's because I need that time to work or help a student or get something ready. There's
Or you just need him to shut the hell up for a couple minutes.
there's an ulterior motive, why teachers do what they do, right?
Yes.
When your teacher would bring in that cart with the TV
The
on
TV,
it,
man.
it was because she went out the night before and didn't come home till 2 a.m.
Today you're gonna watch Remember the Titans.
Yeah, you said that the other day.
Yes.
Whenever you guys had a movie date, was Remember the Titans.
In middle school, yeah.
Why?
Because it was just a popular movie at the time, and it was appropriate because it wasn't like overtly adult or anything, but it told life lessons of get along and it teaches
And it reminded us of the Titans.
remember
Yeah.
the Titans, man. But it teaches about racial inequalities and things like that, which still go
Yeah.
on today. But it's such a positive movie in the long run, and it's still. You can watch it as an adult or a kid. It's an
Yeah.
all ages movie. It's great.
Yeah.
It's just a great movie.
Yeah. What did you think of that lesson of them having to spend a day or a time out of the day with each one of their team members of a different race?
That was great. I mean, such
Kids today need it. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
100%.
Like when you
learn about the other person that you think that you hate.
Yeah, I mean, more than ever with our country so divided, we should do that.
Yeah,
You guys
you'll
think our
realize.
country's divided?
Donald Trump, if you didn't know, is on his way out. Joe Biden,
Who
what I
is
love,
this now, Donald?
yeah, Donald somebody. What I love, Joe Biden's already acting like a president. He's calling press conferences. He's taking calls from world leaders. He's just ignoring Donald Trump, who's holed himself up in the White House, going, "I'm still president.
Yeah, whatever.
You're not president yet."
It's gonna be a little bit of a rough transition, but I mean the job for him starts now. He's trying to figure. He's got a tough go.
Oh yeah, he's got to unite the country.
The deck is. He doesn't even have to unite them. He just has to work for everyone, regardless of their opinion about it.
Do you think anyone's life is more in jeopardy right now than Joe Biden's? I think that we have enough radical weirdos out there.
I don't think that would ever happen again.
I hope not.
I don't think you could get. I don't think you could get anywhere close to.
This
it,
is
but
not a call to action, but I am shocked that nobody has attempted on Donald Trump.
I think the security is so good nowadays that there's no way. There's just
I
no way.
agree. But we haven't heard anything about an attempt. You know what I mean?
I mean, if anyone, Obama was probably the most in danger when he got elected, just
You're
because
right.
he was black president
Yeah.
and a quote unquote Muslim president. Shut up.
His middle name was Hussein.
Yeah.
Let's get to the point of tonight's show. This is a comic book show where we talk about comic book things. So tonight we are going to talk about is that how you phrase it? Odd things in our collection?
Yeah, odd things in your collection that we're going to showcase tonight. Everybody brought 3, which is perfect because I brought 3. We decided on 2, but I was like, I'll give a bonus if we have
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So we brought 3 items from our collection that
It was
either have
easy-
a story or
easy
just,
for TR. I mean, he
weird.
lives here.
yeah, exactly. I had to bring stuff from my home.
I did too.
For my
I had
domicile.
to pull this off of my trade paperback shelf, which I haven't gone into in years. I want to get back into the TPD game.
Oh, sure.
What is it?
TPB.
TPB game. I'm kind of getting issued out. You see me every Wednesday. I buy a lot
hear
of
you.
shit.
Well, you have to buy a lot of X-Men. You're in it.
I'm in it to win it, baby.
Yeah.
This
So
was
that's
your
our-
decision. You're
that's
seeing
our-
it through to the end. Damn
That's
it.
our subject tonight, though.
But what if
is
there
odd
is
things.
no end? Odd things in our collection.
Looks like you guys brought comics. I brought not comics, so
That's cool.
That's why I wanted to do
That
it.
makes it even more interesting
I
you're,
actually have other weird shit. that I
because
can-
you're a
sure.
collector of things.
Mhm.
I think we all are. We're just collectors in general. We
Yep.
just have that in our DNA, and that's why I kind of hassled you yesterday or 2 days ago, going, "What do you read weekly?" And you're like, "Nothing."
Nothing really.
Unless
I
I
mean-
want it for my collection
Yeah.
specifically for a reason, and I kind of want to get back to that. I'm envious. I'm addicted. To
I
comic
just have a
buying.
lot of self control of like, don't need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like Wolverine, the Wolverine Black, White, and Blood.
Yes.
Had to have it. It was
Yeah.
awesome. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Okay.
You know, but like the next week, I
So-
didn't need nothing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
But this week I wrote these down because there's some, like, as far as indie comics go.
Yeah.
Right. This week, Sea of Sorrows, which we're going to talk about
Yep.
in a little bit here. We Lived, second issue
We
comes
Live
out.
was awesome.
A
Had to have
Girl
We
Walks
Live.
Home Alone at Night, which is based on a novel of a Middle Eastern vampire story from, I know it sounds weird, but
Sure.
takes
Kind of
place
like
in the Middle East.
Let
But
the Right One In, which is like a Russian vampire story.
Yeah. Okay, so it's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night is that one. And then Dark Interlude is another
Good indie week next week.
yeah.
So yeah,
this-
I'll probably bring a couple of those home.
yeah. Because we haven't had, I mean, that's what the founding of this show is on is indie book. So
Mhm.
And I'm finding the more I read, the more I personally tend to prefer an indie book.
yeah, the stories are more fresh, right? DC is floundering right now because of stale material, and
Oh, they're ready to fold it up.
AT&T is like, we're done.
They're ready to fold
The
it up.
latest I heard is that AT&T is willing to continue the publishing of at the most 12 titles, which are going to be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman,
Well,
and
The
Justice
flagship
League.
titles. I mean, come
Flash.
on. We called this. We knew about this. We talked about this
Yeah.
when they started to hear rumors of like or when they broke away from Diamond. That's
Right.
really when I right away said I don't think they'll last a year. And look, we've already got. It was still in the rumor mill.
I think
that-
it's the opposite. I think that they knew that they were going under, so they weren't going to follow Diamond anymore because they had to break away at some point.
well, they didn't.
and-
They needed the cash flow.
Yeah, you're right. And then that was the tipping.
That
point.
was the most telling
You're
point.
right,
Is
but-
how fast they broke away from Diamond tipped their hand of like we need cash. We need to sell these books.
yeah.
We need to figure out a way to sell these books. We'll do our own distribution.
I mean, AT&T can keep the doors open, but with AT&T knocking
They
on the door,
don't care.
threatening to shut them down because
It's
it's just a
It doesn't bring up any money for them.
No.
They don't care.
no, and which is unfortunate, and but what I did read is that, like you said, JP, the other characters that won't be continued on will be probably licensed out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to make some money on them.
Yep.
You see an IDW comic or something, IDW Hawkman or something.
Yeah, IDW is great about doing stuff
maybe
like
Boom
that.
Studios, maybe.
Well, and then there's the big news recently of a whole bunch of people being let go from DC.
Yeah.
Very, like I think today.
Yeah.
Another
Jim
another
Lee quit.
yeah, I mean another big, axing of employees. That's a huge telling sign that they're not in it and they don't have enough money to really pay attention to it anymore. So they're just going to keep the flagships. I mean, we talked about it before of like you're always going to get a Batman, a Superman, a Justice League, a Wonder Woman because those can sell. They're guaranteed sales, but you're not going to see a whole lot of experimentation in the comic book realm from them for quite a while.
Yeah.
Gonna
So
play it safe for a while.
here,
They'll be back.
Then the last thing I wanted to bring up before we start talking about those books is X-Men the animated series. The voice actors are starting a petition for Fox and Disney. I don't know if Fox still has a hold in the X-Men at all.
Nope.
Disney
Disney bought it all.
Then Disney to pay attention that fans want this back and they want to produce the voice actors, like especially the Wolverine guy. I was gonna pull his name up here. He has been
Well, I'm sure they have vested interest though. They want work, but
yeah.
but it'd
anyway,
be great to have them
but-
back,
but-
have it back. But also, Disney's not going to derail its own produced shows like Mandalorian and different
The reason
things.
I brought this up is because our own interest in the X-Men animated series, which came about regardless of this. We didn't start doing this because we knew the show would be coming back around. What are you putting at?
Grab that book that's sitting on top.
All right, the art and making of the animated series.
Yep. I thought that it was too perfect for me to not get. Let's
Where
block
did-
JP's face.
Where
That's
did you
fine.
get this?
I got that at Rainbow Comics Cards and Collectibles, 3310 South Minnesota Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and at 1501 Pine Lake Road, Suite 17 in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well done. You get a
Nice.
cookie tonight.
Nice.
get a cookie.
Hey, okay, so voice actor of Wolverine, Cal Dodd, says Disney appears to be ignoring the millions of fans, not just the voice actors, for a revival of X-Men the animated series.
I don't think they're ignoring anybody. I think they're vested in their own series first.
Yeah.
Because they have Mandalorian season 2 going on, which is the biggest show they have right now.
Uh-huh.
And then after that, they've got WandaVision coming out early next year.
TR.
So I don't think they're going to derail their own shows to produce a revival of a 90s classic. I mean, they'll get there. Just give them time.
I think it's gonna be awesome when they do.
Whenever they get there.
Because like we've been talking about, it was made in 1992 animation.
Wait, I'm sorry. When?
1992.
Animation that was made in the 90s on the fly because they had to work quickly because they had a weekly show. Suffered a lot, right?
Yeah. And I think a reboot would be a lot more anime inspired.
Do you?
I think the style would be a lot more anime inspired.
Anime?
I don't think so. They
I
tried-
think it'd be okay. What I consider Young Justice, the way that you've seen Young Justice, presumably. I consider that animation style to be anime inspired.
All right, TR, what do you have tonight for your first oddity?
So for my first sort of oddity, it's based on a video game which was originally going to be a Spider-Man game.
Yep, it was.
This game, it was called Prototype when it was in the alpha testing phase,
Right.
because it still wasn't Spider-Man yet.
Yep.
And then the Spider-Man folk dropped out.
Spider-Man.
So they kept the name Prototype.
Yep.
And I happen to have both Prototype 1 in issue form
Yep.
and Prototype 2 in hardcover trade paperback form.
Yeah.
The story for Prototype 2 is very, very meh.
Okay. If you've seen the Emoji Movie, meh.
Yeah. It's very forgettable. It's there so you can play the game, basically, and there's not a whole lot else to it.
It's
The
a
ori-
violent murder sim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds
The
awesome.
original story I liked a lot more. There's this whole thing of there's this sort of secret military branch, and they've created this huge monster that,
A little bit of Weapon X in there, yeah.
yeah. And if it infects you, then, sometimes you turn into a monster, or if you're the right person, it gives you like these crazy superpowers. So we're following one of the guys who got crazy superpowers and escaped their testing facilities. And
Yep.
he's doing he's fucking up the city while they're like not able to take control.
Yeah.
Because they are just rapidly, after an outbreak of this virus, rapidly losing control of the whole city. So that's what Prototype 1 is. Prototype 2 is that guy is now recruiting an army. So it starts from the vantage point of one guy who doesn't know he's recruiting an army, but he's being recruited by him anyway. So part 2 is very, like I said, very forgettable and meh.
Yeah.
But part 1 was fun, much more fun in the game. And I still have the game for PlayStation 3,
Oh, yeah.
and I have a PS3 just so I can play it.
I wanted to do that with the Spider-Man game that came out just for the PS4.
Yeah.
Because I've only had an Xbox for how long, but I just couldn't justify getting
It's a lot of
the
money to
PS4.
display one game.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of money to play one game.
Yeah, those are not cheap.
No, the PS4s.
Yeah.
Is that the newest
PlayStation
machine?
PlayStation 5.
PS5
newest
is the
one.
new one. And what's the new Xbox? I keep forgetting what it's called.
It's just called the Series X.
Okay, because I'm in the
Yeah.
market for a new
It's
machine.
not a great name.
No. So
By the way, let's go ahead and announce this now because we have confirmation.
Okay.
Guys, next week we have a great guest. We're having Alex Cormick, who is the artist for Sea of Sorrows. And if you know our love of Sync and just how fantastic that is, one of the great indie horror series out there of the last decade, easily, I'd say.
Oh,
He was
easily.
the artist and the colorist on that, and the racist on it.
yeah.
And the what?
What?
And the what?
What did you say?
I don't remember.
The racist on it. I was looking at my phone and I'm like,
I was like,
what?
damn.
That's why I said it too. I was watching you not paying attention.
Yeah. Oh, right.
But so
Well-
next week we're going to be talking to the Alex Cormick, who
Yeah.
is fantastic artist.
He does great work. I mean, the work on Sync is really what drew me to that comic book. I mean, I stayed because of the writing, but I mean, the artwork is what caught my eye, and I really
Yeah.
want to talk to him about that contrast, or somebody to talk to him about, and talk about those covers. you
Yeah,
know.
it's so well done.
So his new book comes out this Wednesday with Rich Douek. I don't know if you guys remember Wailing Blade. JP, you and I talked to him. We had a 3-way phone conversation. It was pretty sexual. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
'Cause he
Three-way.
described having to carry around this life-size sword of the Wailing Blade itself. I mean, and if you've ever read the comic, this thing is enormous.
Yeah.
Um, so Rich is the writer on this new Sea of Sorrows, and Alex is the artist. So it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what those two can come up with creatively,
Yeah.
for sure.
So next up, JP, let's go around the table. What have you got for us?
I'll probably say the weirdest for last, but
All right.
my first weird thing in my collection is a Braveheart cassette tape. Yes, this is the Braveheart soundtrack on cassette. Now, where did I find this gem? I found this in a Goodwill for 50 cents.
Yeah. And so did you pick it up because of its novelty-ness of it?
Yes.
Or did you buy it because you love that soundtrack?
I mean, I love the movie. I love the soundtrack. I mean, Braveheart is one of those films. It's just like, it hasn't aged well. I don't think Braveheart's aged that great.
None of Mel Gibson's
I-
work aged
I
well.
think
That's
a
not
lot
true.
of
the
what
Patriot is an amazing, awesome movie.
The Patriot was never good. You could have picked.
Are you
so-
kidding me?
boy, let's go,
The
boys.
Patriot is awesome.
Here we go.
The
All right,
Patriot
TR.
is so good.
He says it's awesome. Go.
I think that is one of Melvin Gibstein's weaker movies.
Not at all. I think that's one of his best.
And by the way, that is his proper name, Melvin Gibstein.
You know what I did like though of his was Ransom.
Ransom's really good too.
Yeah,
Gary
it was.
Sinise.
It was.
Woo-wee.
It was probably
That's a
you
nail
know,
biter.
it was very heartfelt. Like this kid missing and he was kidnapped right out from under his
A
nose.
nail biter.
Where did TR go? Probably to go fart or something. I don't know what he just took off on us, boy.
No. The Patriot is just a watchable, always watchable movie.
Yeah.
That's just a
Okay,
great
so what
Revolutionary
is
War
your
movie.
issue with the Patriot?
Yeah, what's wrong with that movie?
I just found it.
I
to
liked
be,
it. I
boring.
don't like Mel Gibson, but I liked the movie.
I like Mel Gibson. I mean, I do. I mean, it sucks that he derailed his own career by getting drunk and saying some uncouth things.
Yeah,
Well,
I listened to those
I always liked him when I was a
recordings.
kid. I always liked him when I was a kid. So
Yeah,
so I grew up
Lethal
watching.
Weapon stuff was cool.
I wasn't super into that, but I mean, the Patriot came around when I was like, Lethal Weapons are good. I mean, they're all right.
Yeah,
They're not great action flicks. By any means.
no, true.
It's just weird to me that you're like when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and that didn't immediately mean Lethal Weapon.
No, I mean, the Patriot came out when I was in my teens, and the
You
Patriot
know what?
was
He's
just
a little bit young for Lethal Weapon.
I mean, I saw the Lethal Weapon movies,
I mean, I was a kid when they were coming out.
but it wasn't like, we were into Predator and Alien, dude. I mean, like, we were into all that kind of stuff. So
How old are you?
30.
Oh,
I'm gonna be
God,
my birthday's on.
ew.
My birthday's on Monday. I'm gonna be 39. I'm such a fucking old man.
Oh, ew.
My buddy just turned 39 last night.
Yeah. So tell him happy birthday, fellow Scorpio.
Yeah, happy upcoming birthday to you.
2 days. Yep. The last of my 30s. Then I think it's official middle aged. Don't you
Yeah.
guys feel like that starts at 40?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is my last year. Let's make it a good one on this show. Let's hope it finally picks up. All right.
Let's just get drunk a lot.
All right. So tell us about this cassette. What is on it? Have you listened to it since you bought it?
No, because I don't have a cassette player.
Okay. So,
But it was just so weird because like I was at Goodwill with my wife, and she was just perusing around, and then I was just like, I'm not a huge fan of going to Goodwills. I'm always like, I'm never gonna find anything anyway. But I was just in there and I was sifting through the tapes, and then I found this
yeah, that's Billy Ray Cyrus right there.
this beautiful cassette tape, and I was like, oh my gosh, a Braveheart cassette.
Yep.
And then I was looking at it, and it was just. It has like a handwritten like Mel Gibson, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I remember.
you know what I mean? A
cassette tape.
note
Yep.
to the buyer, and like just different things. And it's just fun.
Dear
It's-
buyer,
yeah.
you may take our music,
Yeah.
but you'll never take our freedom.
Our freedom.
Okay, well, let me-
Braveheart's a great movie.
Okay, so why don't you feel like it's held up well?
Braveheart.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mistakes in the movie that are just like glaring. Like you can see guys in the background wearing like ball caps and stuff. Like so there's some continuity stuff and like just stuff like happens during the battle scenes where you can see production crew and different things like that.
Oh, so they did a bad job.
There's just some bad.
It's not
There's just some bad flaws.
It's a matter.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think of a movie holding up, it, you know, like I usually think special effects. Where do they still work? I mean, do they still convince me that
special effects look fine because there's not really a whole lot of stuff
there,
you need to do here. It's just blood. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Blood and armor.
And butts in that one scene. Butts, remember?
I think
they showed all those dudes' butts. Remember that? Remember when they showed all those dudes' butts?
They did, yeah. I think the pacing of the movie is a little long.
Dude.
And it's a downer. I mean, it ends on a downer.
I love you.
Spoiler.
Always have.
It's a downer. I mean, it's just one of those movies like it would probably be made different today.
Yeah.
It would have a little bit more uplifting. I mean, he'd probably still. I mean, you have to go with him dying because that's what happens.
Yeah.
But it'd probably end it a little more uplifty. This movie is kind of a downer at the end.
Yeah.
It's a great movie though. I really like Braveheart, and it was just it was one of those kind of like big. Using the word Titanic and almost a punny because like Titanic came out and like that was a huge like monumental like everyone needs to go see this movie. Braveheart was kind of one of those things. It was like everybody talked about it. It was one of those movies that everybody, have you seen Braveheart? Have you seen Braveheart? You gotta go see Braveheart. So it was just one of those things. So it's just weird. It was an eclectic find. I bought it for 50 cents and it's worth about $20.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. For a Braveheart cassette.
10, $20. You can sell it online. 10, $20.
Are you gonna sell it?
I'm gonna keep it.
Why?
Because it's just eclectic. It's funny.
You admitted you don't have a cassette player.
Nope.
You're probably never going to listen to it.
It's a conversation piece.
You can, I don't know how many times over make your money with that.
It sits on the top of the DVD shelf, just right up there. Yep.
You should get a baseball card holder, right? The stand for the holders.
Oh,
okay?
that has another eclectic, weird, crazy item in it.
Okay, so get another one because then it would really draw attention to it that you put in the time to get a stand for it, right? You know what I'm talking about? The tripod stand that you would get for a baseball card in a case.
I told you weird stuff. I mean, I brought weird stuff.
Yeah,
weird stuff.
I assumed we were talking.
Now that I know what weird we're talking, I grabbed something. I grabbed something new that's gonna make you go, "What?"
Okay.
Yeah, like why do you have that? I'm not. I can't really explain.
I didn't realize that we were going into personal life.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking comics.
No.
Like weirdest thing in your collection.
Nope.
Did you just lose a tooth? What just happened?
No, it's my Trump shithead.
Oh.
A buddy of mine 3D printed. There's no camera that it'll really show well, but it's a teeny tiny little poop that has Trump's face.
A tiny little poop.
Tiny little poop
that
has Trump's face in it. Little Trump shithead.
That's nice.
I'll bet you someday I'll find a cassette player though for real cheap, and I'll pop this bad boy in.
Yeah, I've got a couple cassette
The
players.
total runtime is 77 minutes.
Do you want to
music
borrow
on here.
one?
No, I think I'll buy one.
I was gonna say if you want to borrow one,
Maybe I'll just get one of those little desktop. Just click, click.
Yep, and then just have it come through that really awful
Yeah,
built-in
speaker.
speaker.
Horrible.
Yeah. So
the music was composed and conducted by James Horner, performed by the London Symphony Orchestra.
Okay, so it's not even a soundtrack. It is the score.
Yeah, I mean, technically it's the soundtrack.
Yeah,
because it's a soundtrack that was a score.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I guess they didn't have pop songs in it.
No. They did. I think they might have had maybe one.
That always bothers me when you
maybe in the credits
when you watch a period piece that has contemporary music in it. Has that ever happened?
Knight's Tale.
Yeah,
I love A Knight's Tale though.
But that's meant to be that way though.
That's what That's why I think find most unique about that movie is because if you don't do that movie with contemporary music, it's just another period piece that gets lost in period pieces.
That movie was meant to be the mashup.
And if you do that movie with contemporary music, there it is. It's definitely a movie that got made.
It's.
All right. That's entry number 1 into my weird.
Okay.
I've got a lot more weird stuff. I just grabbed a few things I thought.
I'm looking for stuff in my pockets right now. What do I got with me?
Weird.
No. Okay. So I was thinking comic book. So my first foray into it would be Day Tripper by Gabriel Ba and Fabio Moon. These two guys are brothers.
Okay.
You guys probably know Gabriel Ba from
from
the Umbrella
Academy.
So this story is the son of a writer, and each little story in it is a different moment or a time in his life, time period, and then it ends with his death. And then the next period or the next story in this guy's life picks up at a different time in his life, ends in his death. So you just see different points in this guy's life that he may have died at. And it's just this slice of life, like really finding out like what kind of guy he really is. This very strange way of storytelling, like having and they don't ever address it. Like why is it written this way where all these events in his life he dies? Well, his dad is a writer and reads all these obituaries that his dad has written and things like that. It's really weird, but
Weird.
there's no like you read it and you're like, wait, this is the guy that wrote the Umbrella Academy, and yeah,
Very strange.
nothing like the Umbrella Academy.
I don't think there is a whole lot out there.
And
like
this
that
is
either.
definitely not something that you would like, John. It's like Jeff Lemire with
You're right.
his like, what was that series that you just didn't dig at all?
I
of
didn't
his,
care for it all. I
where
know
he
the one-
wrote and drew it.
Yeah.
And it was
I know what
it was about the son that it was about the son that died.
Yeah.
And it
Couldn't
was
get into that one.
yeah. Okay. So it's like that, but more trippy, but it's supposed to be real heartfelt.
Sure.
And it's just like not like any other thing that I've ever read, So then you got Gerard Way from Umbrella Academy, writing on here, beautifully written and utterly gorgeous. Day Tripper completely blew me away.
Well,
anyway, I don't know. Vertigo put out some weird stuff in the early 2000s.
Vertigo pushed the boundaries, man. They were
And yeah,
It's really a shame that they did away with Vertigo in favor of
Black
fucking
Label.
what?
'Cause
Black
now-
Label, which still hasn't found its footing yet.
well, okay. So
and they floundered on that
speaking
back
of
and forth.
Jeff
and
Lemire,
DC's so
Awful
screwed
on that.
anyway that
speaking of Jeff Lemire, he did the series Sweet Tooth early to mid 2000s, and that was out on Vertigo, and now it's being I don't know, relaunched or just started again. The first issue takes place 300 years later. But it's being put out on DC Black Label.
okay.
And so they don't have too much stuff out that's not Batman related
yeah.
on DC Black Label, right? It's it's weird because
Batman and there is a little bit of Watchmen stuff.
that label bothers me too, because it's like, it would be nice if they would use it for their non DC universe stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
the best thing that come out of Black Label is that Last God book.
I didn't read it.
It's a grim dark fantasy book that's
Yeah.
not based on anything else. So it was created and incepted for Black Label.
Yeah.
And that's one of the best uses of Black Label I've seen, because it's not an adaptation of some other fantasy novel or some other fantasy world. It was a comic book created as a dark fantasy universe for Black Label. And it's just, there's murder, death, destruction, and like think Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
but without the bards. Without the bards and beer, like everybody's miserable.
Yeah.
And like there's all these nasty, just horrible gods just taking control of people's lives, and it's just
I just
really
think
dark.
they missed an opportunity.
like The Witcher is very dark.
Yeah, I just think they missed a good opportunity, and now they're just using it to tell DC stories, Batman stories, or Batman related characters, but darker.
I hear you.
I think for like the Last God stuff like that, that's where they really shine. But too much what they're doing is like they're using Black Label to be DC After Dark.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I think that's also
see-
a little bit out of necessity, because I think in the financial situation they were put into, they were kind of forced into a wall. They kind of had to play it safe, because you had to get some sort of guaranteed sales out of books to keep it going.
yeah.
So I think that is also
But-
what forced Black Label to become just, beige label.
what I loved,
Yeah.
loved about Vertigo, I would read almost any Vertigo title.
Oh, if you see
Day
Vertigo on
Tripper.
it and it's old Vertigo,
Yeah.
read it. I mean, you can
Old Vertigo.
Creature,
Yep.
Transmetropolitan. You
Yep.
know what I mean? These are
Um,
huge titles from Vertigo.
Fables.
Fables, Vertigo.
Yep.
Huge titles.
Dark Knight, a True Batman Tale. That one's
That's
on
a Vertigo. Yep. That
Okay,
was, that
so-
was on the end of Vertigo. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so that cancels my question. I was going to ask, did they put
Shade
anything?
the Changing Man.
Did they put anything in Vertigo from main DCU? I mean, I know they went
Well,
the other way.
Okay, so Dark Knight, a True Batman Tale is actually a little different
Yeah.
because it's about Paul Dini,
Yeah.
the author.
Yep.
And he did like Animaniacs and stuff. Was it Animaniacs or was it
No,
Tiny Toons?
Hello, nurse.
Mm, he was more involved in the Batman animated series.
Yeah, but yeah, he did that too. But he was mugged. and he was beaten
Oh,
pretty
shit.
badly, and he was having these hallucinations of Batman and the Joker when he was recovering.
That is different, right? You're right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's his story. It's not
Yeah.
Batman's story.
It's a dark book. It has a good ending, but it's more about mental health and that sort of thing after trauma.
Yeah.
And it's really like Batman sort of shows up, but he's a hallucination. He's not really there.
And
It's a good book.
so,
it was a way he processed through the,
sure,
through,
but it's
through
not a
the
Batman
trauma.
book, right?
It's a true Batman story.
Yeah, Batman's in Batman. The character is used in the story,
Right.
but it's
And
not
so
a
is the
Batman.
Joker.
But it's not a Batman book. It's a Paul
Right.
Dini book.
Yeah, about his true life experience and his true life tragedy. That
Right.
happened.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked about Vertigo is that all of the stories were, elsewhere different, right? They were all their own pocket universes, each story.
Yeah.
And it's rare for a big label like DC where everything falls under the same umbrella. If DC put it out, it's fair game for use in the DC universe, right?
Yeah.
And it felt like Vertigo kept out DC stuff.
Oh yeah, they tried
And-
really hard.
But sometimes
Sandman.
Sandman went the
Sandman.
other way.
Sandman, because that was on Vertigo.
No, that was DC to start with.
Oh, was it to
In-
start with?
Yeah, when it
Okay.
first, right?
Don't ask me, I'm not a Sandman fan.
No, you're right. It was always on Vertigo.
Okay.
I'm
Because
thinking.
I
I'm
remember they
thinking
had
House of
Dr.
Mi-
Destiny.
I'm thinking House of Mystery.
Oh, okay.
That one started on DC, went to Vertigo, but we have seen now it go the other way, where Vertigo characters have been introduced into the DC universe, and it happened even before the Vertigo closed their doors
Right.
because they were using Constantine all the time in DCU.
He was one of the only characters that ever really crossed over. Yeah.
Yeah.
First, I mean, yeah.
But now, I mean, they tried Vertigo for a little bit.
I tried a revival and it didn't work.
Are they putting out anything under Vertigo right now? No. So we've got something similar.
No, they're
DC Black Label that's putting out rated R Batman stories, and
They're like PG-15 rated R. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. NC-17 and
they
is even,
they made their big splash debut with Batman's cock.
Yeah.
Right. That was the
Yeah, sure, the outline of it.
yeah.
Great.
That was their big jump into this is the dark Batman.
Which is so stupid because I hate that controversy over that where people were like, oh my God. Listen, guys, we told you from the beginning this is going to be R-rated. There's going to be nudity, there's going to be sex, there's going to be violence, there's going to be blood. This is an R-rated universe where we're going to tell our own original R-rated stories. And then all of a sudden when that came out and people were shocked, they should have just doubled down and went, yeah, that's what you're going to have to expect coming out of us right now, out of Black
Right,
Label. But no, they
exactly.
backtracked and they were like,
Yeah.
oh, we're so sorry.
Yeah.
No, like, what do we do? Like, shut up. Double down on that shit and go,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Here's
and
the
they
controversy.
immediately, for like all future printings, they changed the art.
There was no future printing. They didn't ever reprint that book.
They
You
didn't?
can't get an edited version. They never
It's
reprinted it.
one printing only. That's crazy.
They never reprinted it
because that issue is a hot item, you know,
Yeah.
and it's crazy that they haven't reprinted it
because that was them stepping back away from it. Like, and then they said out the gate they were going to, and then they were like, no, we're never going to reprint it. And then the story continued, and you can tell they probably had Harley Quinn, who was in that story. They probably had her nude at one point in the book because there's a very open image of her like belly up
Yep.
or waist up.
Yep.
And I can't remember the characters looking at her, but
it's blocked.
you can tell the art was probably altered because it looks like they added clothes on top.
Yeah,
I think she was probably topless.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
Who
think that's,
wouldn't want to see Harley Quinn topless?
that would have just been more of what they're promising. I mean, they're promising this R-rated universe. I mean,
Yep.
it's fucking R-rated. You see an R-rated movie? Guess
Yep.
what? That's what you're gonna get in here, baby. Like,
Yeah, nobody has done it.
I don't know. I don't understand the controversy on that. I really don't.
I don't even know why people care.
I don't know why either.
I don't know why that it needed to be done. I don't know why nobody cared, that people care.
Well, and
that
I
it
don't
was
know
done.
why. And I don't know why DC just knee-jerk reaction like, oh, no, this is not what we're gonna do. Like, stop. What are you doing? Yes, this is what you wanted to do.
You put it out.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The best reaction to all this kind of stuff, if you're really upset about it, is just don't fucking read the book.
Don't buy it.
Yeah.
Don't buy it.
Like, guess
Who
what?
cares?
That's money that you get to keep. You get to keep that money in your pocket.
Yeah.
Don't
And then
buy it.
DC wasted their money by printing it, and you didn't even buy it. Ha ha ha.
Around
not
that
like
same,
they were-
DC was like being weird because around that same time they put out that Batman story of the Joker story. They put it out as an animated movie.
Killing Joke.
Killing.
Killing Joke. Thank you.
That was right.
And they added that scene of Batman and Barbara having
That's weird.
sex, right?
That was weird.
They didn't show it.
Yeah,
but,
that was
but,
unnecessary thing to add, and it was
but
weird.
it
and-
was around that exact same time that book came out.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they were trying to like, ooh, should we like get edgy with this? And I know they were trying to establish the idea that Batman would be just as hurt if something happened to Barbara as Commissioner Gordon was, trying to play it up that the Joker was trying to hurt Batman more than he was trying to hurt Gordon. But that's not how it was originally written.
It was unnecessary. It was just emotional content to try and create emotional content.
Yeah, and
Like,
it was so unnecessary.
it was tacked on.
They
hard.
could have done all of that and had that thing where maybe they had a fight. It didn't have to be sex, but maybe they had a fight, and that's why they split apart.
It could have been friction between Batman, her, and her dad, because her
Yes.
dad doesn't want her to be Batgirl.
Yeah.
And at that point he hadn't found out yet. And then like it could have been like he found out or something, and then he blamed Bruce, and you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden the Joker thing happened. You know what I mean? That's fucked up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then Gordon can play Batman and all this. You know what I mean? There's so many more
Exactly.
different angles you could have done
Exactly.
to make it more meaningful and like bam, impactful.
And that's why I was just
rather
like,
than just, oh, they fucked.
and then the sex thing, and then all of a sudden
So
Bruce is
stupid.
ignoring her, and then
Hopefully brought his bat condom.
yeah. God.
Never leave home without it.
All right, so TR, what do you have next for us, buddy?
Okay, so for the comic one, the next one, and I really want to get the second issue because this is a 2-issue storyline, but apparently the guys at Rainbow don't have it. And even though I could go online and get it,
Yep.
this is one of those things I want to get organically. Next time I'm on a road trip, I'm going to go, I'm
hunt.
going to look for comic stores. I'm going to see if I can find one that has another one. This is Green Lantern, Green Arrow. It is the classic, your wards, you always have all the answers, Green Arrow. Well, what's your answer to that? My ward's a junkie. It's when
the classic cover.
yeah,
It
it's
is
when Speedy
Such a classic. cover.
Speedy is doing heroin or some sort of heroin-esque type thing.
Oh, he's shooting up.
Yeah. And the reason that I'm so
Can I see for a
desperate
sec?
to get the reason I'm so desperate to get the second one is this: in the conclusion of this, they basically lock Speedy and his friends in a room. So one of the kids straight up DTs to death.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a straight up murder comic.
Yeah, it is. They straight up
but
kill this kid
this-
because
War on
they
Drugs
wouldn't.
comic.
This is such a significant cover and issue because they show the needle, they show the drugs right here, and they don't even do that today. And this
Well,
had the comics code on it.
Well, it was a snapshot of what was also happening in America at the time. The war on drugs had started to be ramping up. You know, we're working into this is 70 something.
Yeah.
But I mean, the big war on drugs happened in the 80s. But heroin was a huge problem, and the youth were starting to get into these experimental drugs. So DC had a stance of like, well, let's try and like make it a horror story. This was like Dare before Dare, you know what I mean? Like Dare in school when you learned about drugs and like all that.
This
So
is pre Nancy Reagan, baby.
right. It was a way for DC to try and show the horrors of drug
Drugs.
addiction.
I loved it. I think it's great.
It's a culturally significant cover.
I really commend you for buying it because I've never seen one.
It's cool. It's a cool cover.
It actually reminds me a lot. Okay, do you see the one over there that says Reefer Madness? Up top row? Yeah, that one. So it reminds me a lot. I grabbed this also from Rainbow.
Propaganda.
Yeah. It is propaganda. It is anti-marijuana stuff, and some of it is
Satan's cigarettes.
That's awesome.
Y'all been
if-
smoking that wacky tobacco?
That's the devil's
That's
lettuce.
Satan's cigarettes? The devil's lettuce? Keanu's kale?
Guys.
That one I came up
Keanu's
with myself.
kale.
Yeah, that's a me creation.
I like that one.
Spin Doctors, something that starts with S. Smoke. God damn it. Smoke was
That was
right
the
there.
easiest one. You fucked
Yeah.
it up. Jesus.
Um,
Okay.
Well, and on this one, it has DC attacks youth's greatest problem, drugs.
Yep.
And at the top, the shocking truth about drugs.
I love it. It was significant when they did that.
Yeah.
Right. And especially they did it with a Green Lantern, Green Arrow crossover issue. It wasn't even in a main title of Green Lantern or Green Arrow or Batman. I mean, Batman probably would have made more sense. They were always trying to play around with dangerous issues with Batman, you know?
Yeah.
I think they chose these characters at the time though because they didn't want to risk like Robin or something like doing drugs. And
Do you know
stuff.
what's so funny?
Speedy was just
I love his
Horse
name.
name is Speedy.
I mean, yep, they had his name is Speedy.
And he's doing heroin
Yeah.
instead of something that would make him speedy.
When I really thought, what do you guys think of in the Arrow comic making Speedy a girl and making her his sister, and then the
You
drug
mean the Arrowverse?
yeah, no, what I said,
You said Arrow comic.
Arrow comic. Oh, I meant in the TV show.
Yeah, the CW show.
Yeah. Okay, so they made it a girl. They made it his sister. Changed it to pills. Did it have the same impact?
I don't think.
And it was a CW show, so of course it was.
I
very
got out of Arrow
dramatic.
after
Yeah,
one
it was a
season.
soap opera.
I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't deal with Arrow.
The
after one
first season was good. I did like that.
I did after the first season. I was just over it.
I
just
was
like,
over Flash after the second. I mean, both
Flash
those
was
shows-
decent for a couple seasons, and then,
Yeah.
it just got a little too
Silly.
Well,
Repetitive.
it's just
So
the same
silly.
the same problem that happened to the comics. It was just like, I'm Barry Allen. I'm the fastest man alive, and here's a villain that's faster than me.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Literally every time there's a villain.
Every
that's
goddamn
faster.
season, there's a
And
fucking
Wally
Zoom
West is.
and fucking oh my god,
Yeah.
there has to be another angle to go.
Reverse Flash.
I've never really mentally tried to understand the Speed Force, right? Is that what it's called? Speed Force,
Speed
Speed
Force,
Force.
yeah.
right? And so, like,
You're
what
never
is it?
going-
What is that?
It's like an alternate dimension almost.
Yeah.
Okay,
And it does have a consciousness.
Yeah.
So at least in the CW one, it does. It has a consciousness and it has sort of a will.
why do you need that to make? I mean, what good is that for the story of Flash?
Well, I mean,
Um,
that's the same argument of like, what good is Madam Web in Spider-Man?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I hate the idea of this going on in Spider-Man comics right now. Is this whole like, what do they call it?
I don't fucking know.
Web of
Doesn't make-
Destiny or something,
doesn't
where
make sense to me.
all of these spider people are connected through Madam Web,
Yeah.
and it's
really weird.
and it's just like, how does that serve the story? So
It's a radioactive spider. It's not a witch.
I've always felt that way.
That's what Madam Web
Yeah,
is. She's a fucking
exactly.
witch.
She's a spider witch.
Yeah.
And so what I always felt about the Speed Force was, how does this support the story? It doesn't even drive the story, because
It's
Flash's powers did not derive from the Speed Force.
it's pseudoscience though. I mean, it's just the way that like we've talked about it before. Like it's when they want to explain something away, like, oh, it's just Speed Force. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And it's like when you read a Marvel book or you watch a Marvel movie, like, how is this possible? Pym particles.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
That's the MacGuffin. You know what I mean?
All right. I like Flash.
And the New 52 Flash comics, are the first 3 or 4 volumes, are great reading, and then after that they just fall
Yeah.
into the same trap of you reusing the Speed Force and reliving time over and over, and it's just zoom and Reverse Flash over and over and over. I'm like, I don't care anymore, dude.
The
Just
greatest-
kill him.
okay,
Just kill him.
I know might not agree with me, but the best Flash story from the Rebirth was Batman Flash the Button, because
that was good.
that was going to be the best entry point for the Watchmen into the DCU.
Shit, man. Talk
and-
about controversy.
and-
That was supposed to
and it-
usher in a
and
whole
then-
new age of
and then
comics, and it didn't do shit.
Nobody did it. I don't know, like, why. Do you guys know why it was never?
Well, it only took him about 12 years to finish.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was like way later. It was brought to
It
a
took
point.
so long to come to fruition.
Yeah.
That was the big problem, because there were people who were sort of, like, oh, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
But before anything could happen, so many other events came and went.
Yeah, and I don't understand, because then the Doomsday Clock thing took so long to finish, it lost all of its gusto.
It lost all steam. Luckily, out of all that, though, 3 Jokers was, I thought, immaculately amazing.
Oh God, did you guys like the third issue?
I loved it. I really
I
did.
liked it.
Did
yeah.
you like that idea of like Batman's always known who the
Yep.
Joker is?
Love it.
Spoiler.
I love it.
But TR, you've already talked about the issue, right, on one of your previous episodes.
Actually, no, I did not talk about the final 3 Jokers. 'cause
Okay.
I
We'll
didn't know
probably
if
have
we
to
were
do a whole
going to.
episode about
Yeah,
just
just
that.
that.
Or, else
Or
we're gonna
all-
get into it.
Or we could do one of like encompassing the whole series.
I loved it.
I did too. So
Yep.
yeah, good ending. JP, what's your next weird one? Caligula.
All right, you guys
Uh,
ever seen this?
No, I haven't seen it, but I
So
know.
you brought a porno.
So here's the thing, Caligula, the man, the real life man. I mean,
Yes.
the things he did that portrayed in this movie, he was that guy.
He was-
in real life.
His
The-
name means little boots.
Does it?
Yep.
Yep, it does. Because his dad, it was his nickname. Because when he was on the battlefield with his dad, he used to run around in like bigger boots.
He had little boots made for him
Okay,
because he was going to be
so
the next Roman emperor.
I've never seen this movie,
Mhm.
but I know Caligula's story.
Mhm.
He wanted all of the
He's one of the
excess of life.
He's one of the most insane people in history.
Yep, he wanted all the excess of life of being the emperor's son, and nobody wanted him to be
I would
emperor.
say,
But his dad forced it through. But he just didn't want to.
I would say he took it to trying to make himself a deity.
Yeah,
He tried to become a living god.
we see that today with Trump followers, and I'm not making a joke. Right? You talk about the cult of personality, and he had it, and Trump has it.
But
right there,
this was different though. And I'm not trying to like delegitimize what you're saying, because there is some allegories that you can make to that.
Okay.
But this is different because it was all completely selfish. It wasn't like creating a people united under one person. This guy
Malcolm McDowell in this movie is awesome. I've seen,
and I
pictures,
noticed
it
that
looks
this is
perfect.
the complete unedited and unrated edition. So this is straight porn.
with
the
a story. With a story.
The story behind this film, though, is when it was originally incepted. It was the '70s, and when I heard about this movie, I didn't understand what it was about or what it was. But I had watched Clockwork Orange,
Yep.
probably a little younger than I was supposed to. But my mom was cool about it. She knew I had a bit more advanced mind to like wrap my head around these things rather than be like taking it at face value,
Sure.
like, and go commit crimes and be a weirdo.
Sure.
But I had an artistic mind, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
so she let me watch that, and then I did some research and found out that he was in this movie, and it was like the most horrid movie ever made. It was the most horrible thing, the most vile thing ever
Because
created.
of all the sexuality and all the nudity and all the sex. And...
Well, it was started off as, we're going to create this film, Caligula. They shopped it around at many different studios. No studio wanted to pick it up because of the content. They decided that it was not a movie for them. So then they took their big budget, because they did have a huge budget for this film, and the only people that would ever even decide to make this movie was Penthouse.
yeah.
Yep.
So Penthouse Films took this movie. They got the Italian director of Bob Guccione, and he decided not only to make a classically trained acted film
Yeah.
with Academy Award winners now,
Yeah.
also a completely just utter smut fest.
Right.
This is a 3-hour-long porno.
Uh-huh. But historically accurate.
Up to a few different discrepancies, yes, but Caligula was a horrible, horrid man.
So I'd like to this kind of even shows it on the cover. He had coins printed just for his short reign.
It was a very short reign in terms of a ruler back then.
So take us through who Caligula was.
It was basically this, same thing as like Julius Caesar. He was going to be the emperor.
Yep.
So he was next in line to be the emperor,
Yep.
and he became emperor. But then when he became emperor, they look at it now and they think he had some sort of brain disease to make him so crazy. But he should have not ever been emperor ever.
No.
So this is the transition of time when it was just next in line bloodlines, and truly the power of the Roman Senate to choose who they wanted that they could puppet to run Rome.
Yeah.
Caligula broke that cycle because of how fucking crazy he was.
Yeah.
He shut down districts of his own place for holidays that he just made up. He gave a whole district of town to his horse. He used to sleep with his horse, not like have sex with it, but like sleep with it in its bed. Like he fucked his sister. Like he was. This is not a movie. Like, don't sit here and listen to this and go, I gotta watch this. This is not for the squeamish. I mean, it's disgusting, the things that happen in this movie. There's rape, there's sex, there's violence, there's incest. There is so much going on, but it does represent the historical figure. He was a nasty, nasty, nasty person.
If this
the
movie
worst
was,
person in history.
if this was made by a Hollywood production company today,
you would never ever get this made today.
No, not the way it was made, but I think it would get made and give the same effect, but not having it so literal.
You could maybe get away
with this movie. They literally showed everything. They didn't just let the viewer.
Oh no, there's a point in this movie where Malcolm McDowell takes his fist and shoves it up another man's ass.
Yeah.
Because he decided that every wedding that happened to anybody, he was going to have sex with your wife prior to you because he's the emperor and he gets to christen your marriage, and that's his gift to you.
Yep.
So they show that in this movie. It's graphic. It's not, I mean, I'll read you right from the back. It says, "Not for the squeamish, not for the prudish. Caligula will shock and arouse you as it reveals the deviance and decadence beneath the surface of the grandeur that once was Rome."
Unfortunately,
Grandeur,
with the name of Penthouse on it, it destroyed any legitimacy for the movie.
Well, and that's the thing. This is a once in a lifetime, and I would say once in an all-time piece, because this is a combination of absolute pure smut,
Lowbrow
porn,
Yeah.
and classically trained Academy Award-winning actors. Like Peter O'Toole is in this movie.
Yeah.
Helen Mirren is fully naked in this movie. She's an Academy Award-winning actress.
Yeah.
You would never think that Helen Mirren would be in a film like
Are you
this.
saying I should watch it?
I will lend it to you, but I will say you have a family. Don't watch this.
Definitely not.
This is not a midnight movie. This is a 3 a.m. movie when nobody's around. Like my wife is like, can't we just watch this? You talk about it all the time, like it's this crazy thing, and I'm like, no, you can't see this.
And you're like, and you won't let your wife see it, and you're like, our daughter can never know I own this.
no, it's sitting on my DVD shelf. I mean, and it's a forbidden fruit. You know what I mean? When I got it, it was something that was so hard to get. eBay was early days.
Yeah.
I got it on eBay. And it was not a movie you can actually buy. Like at the time, you couldn't buy it in America. It was banned.
Yep.
This movie was banned in so many different countries. So at the time, it was really, really hard. That's why it's all crumpled up, because the guy had it for a long time, and he actually struggled to get it.
Yeah.
So I bought it from him off eBay, and then I got it, and then it was just like one of those things. It's a forbidden fruit of a film.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's psycho. It's crazy. But nobody could have played this character other than Malcolm McDowell. He's a special type of nuts.
Yeah. If you don't know who he is, he was in the
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, Clockwork Orange, and then he was also in
Heroes.
He's had a long filmography.
The horror movie series. Didn't he play the doctor of Michael Myers?
In the reboot with Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie's Halloween reboot.
Okay, he played him there. Okay,
Yeah.
But not in the original. Okay.
No, he didn't. Not in the original, no.
All right.
No. Yeah, it's weird.
Heroes, you're right. He was in Heroes.
It's strange.
He was the guy that could heal stuff.
Yeah.
I don't recommend anybody watch it. I say it's not for the I mean, Rob Zombie, when Rob Zombie was on a TV show on the IFC that was it's called Movie Buffs or something. It was a game show for movie buffs.
Sure.
And he was talking about it, and he was saying how he worked at the theater. He was like he was a ticket boy or whatever at the theater when this movie came out, and he said he had to clean up puke in the theater when this movie came out.
Yep.
Because they ran midnight movies, and this movie came out to his theater, and he said he had to clean the theaters after Caligula. It was awful.
Now,
anyway,
Because I mean,
say
anything
this.
and everything was in that theater. You're talking spunk, talking piss,
Ugh.
talking shit, talking puke, because people couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
not a
I
movie
will
for the
say
squeamish
this.
ever.
If you watch Caligula and you find yourself going, meh, first of all, you might have gotten there's a far more censored version. There are two versions of it.
There is a rated version that is still widely available. This is the version that's not widely available.
Right.
Yeah, so if you watch it and you think that wasn't that big a deal, either you're watching
You
the
missed
rated version or you're really fucked up
And
and,
you have
go
no
watch.
feelings.
Yeah, it's time for you to go watch Necromantic.
All right.
Because that'll fuck you up.
On a lighter note, we're gonna move into Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Right. Yonan Vasquez. Most people know him from the Nickelodeon. You're wearing a Nickelodeon shirt.
Damn right.
Nickelodeon show Invader Zim, which is now continued on in a comic book that still comes out. But Johnny the Homicidal Maniac is this kid who is Johnny, and he not only commits all these murders, and he's a serial killer, but he struggles with why, and so then he conjures up all these demons, and the artwork in these things is all black and white, and he's got this girlfriend that he's got in on it, and it's just I was showing you guys first.
Yeah.
And so I always really liked it because it was just like something, if you just want to read something fun and like crazy. I don't know. Did you guys ever read Evan Dorkin's Milk and Cheese?
No.
Okay,
I
so
know.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah,
Real-
I've looked at it and I'm just like, no.
It's really, do you know what it is?
No.
Okay. So it's these two characters, Milk and Cheese.
I like Evan
And-
Dorkin's art though.
Yeah. And the characters are just
He drew,
foul mouth, South Park
It's
kind of
literally a-
characters, but the milk
like
and cheese.
literally a living milk carton.
Yeah. And
Okay.
just foul mouth, milk carton, and a block of cheese.
Milk
All
and cheese.
right.
All right. So
Milk
that,
and cheese.
okay. So
Evan Dorkin did do the art for the Bill and Ted comics. Though.
yeah. Evan Dorkin's art is nice.
Yeah, it is. I
but
like it.
So then I also brought so a side character in Johnny the Homicidal Maniac is Squee, the next door neighbor kid who's terrified of his serial killer neighbor because he's found out the truth, but he can't prove anything because he's, a little boy. And again, you have characters though that we later have in Invader Zim, like Dib here, who is the one who was always trying to claim that
Zim was
an alien. But again, same,
which is preposterous. He
Same-
looks perfectly like a Huma.
same art style, but it's a little boy, and like all of these anxiety issues that I mean, it's really goes like way out there with the strange, this almost toddler like kid. He's no more than he's like maybe 10 at the oldest, but he's grappling with all these like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm the only one that believes this neighbor is the serial killer.
And the Vasquez stuff, it really has a lot of that, like, just darkness to it.
Yeah.
Like, even when it's funny, like, 'cause
Dark.
Invader Zim is hilarious,
dark
but it's
humor.
so dark.
Yeah. And these comics, I mean, Invader Zim was, kind of neutered by Nickelodeon, but these comics are not. So, I mean, for fans that like Invader Zim, but wanted a little bit more,
Unfiltered.
Yeah, these came out on Slave Labor Graphics, maybe. Yep, which is owned by the guy who wrote the Cute Little Dead Girl series. That's literally its tagline.
Yeah.
Lenore.
Yep. Lenore.
So that guy owns Slave Labor Graphics, which puts out Lenore and Johnny. And I don't even think Lenore is being written anymore.
No.
But yeah, they're fun to get. If you can get them, I think you guys can still get them in the store, right?
They still have printings. Yep. I mean, first printings are tougher to get a hold of, but yeah. I mean,
yeah, there's a huge cult following for this guy's stuff.
This book is always going to be in print. So,
Yeah.
Somewhere, somehow.
So when you saw it, you're like, oh, you don't like it. What is
I
it?
think
The art style?
I think I've heard about it so many times and sold so many copies. I'm just like, I don't really care to read it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like new to me. It's
Yeah.
not like like I found it myself and I'm like, oh, this is sweet.
That's how I feel about like when everybody recommends you gotta read this series, and then that happens so much by the
And
time.
maybe I'm just being a little rebellious or something, but I'm just like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm good. Because I was also not like
You didn't like Invader Zim, really.
right, and that's where I think I drew like I'm not gonna like this, so why would I buy it? Because I didn't like Invader Zim. I didn't like a filtered version of this. Why would I like an unfiltered version?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
See, I loved Invader Zim. I loved
And I know a lot of people do. It
And
just
I
wasn't
love
for me.
I love the comic. But I don't know, TR, did you ever watch it?
I love Gurr. Gurr's
Yeah.
my favorite.
Gurr, come here. Right. Gurr is his robot dog.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
my cupcake.
My brother was into it. I think that maybe also because like, your brothers.
Hate your brother.
Yeah.
You just don't like. You can't like what they like.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like-
it was the darkest thing Nickelodeon, I think, put out there.
I think the first thing
Ren
that
and
I was,
Stimpy was dark.
I think the first thing I was jealous of my brother for like liking that he got to first, that I was just like, nah, I can't like it. It's like my brother's music was Linkin Park. Like
Oh.
Hybrid Theory came out,
Yeah.
and he was like super into it.
I
And
don't
I was
wanna,
just like, and then in my head, I'm like, this
So-
shit
and you're like-
slaps, dude.
and you're like, this is so good.
yeah. My skin. I was like,
Yeah.
I was so like, yeah.
You know, it's funny. Like
The
you were bringing
closet
that up,
Linkin
and you're
Park
like,
fan.
and you're talking about like, hey, being mad at your brother for liking first. I'm like, I was in college when that came out. So then when you said, I'm like, God, I'm so old.
Right. Well, I was at the time going through my little like punk revolution
Sure.
stage and
Yeah.
phase because I was really into like 70s punk rock. So
Yeah.
I discovered the Sex Pistols and the Clash,
Yeah.
and like I was really into that. So I kind of like had this like weird like culture shock of like, no, mainstream music is not for me. And then my brother was into Linkin Park, and I was just listening
Keep
to it. And I would
talking. I
hear
got
it.
to text my wife. We're
Oh,
still
you're fine.
recording.
You're fine. I have a story about how I kind of broke my shell of like liking whatever I want to like and saying fuck you. But that started it was like those bands, and then like Stiff Little Fingers. You ever
I do. Yeah.
Those
They
are
were-
a great punk band.
Yeah. They
Um,
talked about them on that movie with John Cusack.
Oh,
that
sure.
record store movie,
High Fidelity.
High Fidelity.
Yep.
They talked about Stiff Little Fingers being a influence on Green Day.
Oh, I can totally see that. Stiff Little Fingers is a great punk band from the 70s. Living on to the 80s. But anyway, I was really into that stuff, and I would like exclusively listen to it.
Yeah.
And then
I was like that in school too, where it's like you feel like you can't venture out because
Yeah.
that's your image as this. For me, it was like I'm into metal.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can't admit that you like a Creed song. And
Right.
You're like, you get killed.
With arms wide open.
With arms wide open.
And then
Judging you guys a little bit.
under the midnight. yeah.
With arms wide open.
Scott Stapp, not a good guy, but he's a hell of a singer.
And he's also broke as shit.
You're damn right. You could have him work your kid's birthday party for a sandwich and a slice of cake.
What happened? Just bad
Oh,
investment?
he wrecked his own. He got into drugs and alcohol hard.
And he also is an ass
Huge asshole.
hole.
But also MTV was going through another revolution at the time of just, music videos were advancing and newer bands were debuting their music videos on MTV. Well, this little band called Coldplay,
Yep.
who was debuting The Scientist on late night at,
Mhm.
the video.
Yeah.
And The Scientist was a really revolutionary video because it was shot backwards. You know what I mean? Like the whole video is kind of shot backwards. You start at the end of a car crash and then you roll back the whole, so you see this thing. So, and I was mesmerized by that because I was also into film at the time, like movies. So like it was just mesmerizing, and I couldn't get the song out of my head, but I was trying to like not like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like light bullshit. I can't like this. I
Yeah.
like punk rock. But then I decided that punk rock is more than just liking punk rock. Punk rock and like punk rock itself is liking whatever you want to like and just saying screw you to everybody else. Like I don't owe
It's
anybody
the attitude, right?
I don't owe
It's-
anybody an explanation of why I
No.
like Coldplay.
No.
So then I went to Target. I bought that record, Rush of Blood to the Head,
Yeah.
and was like mind exploded because
It
that
did
is a Coldplay. That album, I don't care how you feel about them. That Rush of Blood to the Head album, every song is a banger on it. Every single one throughout the whole thing.
Is it?
Yes, it's a immaculate album, and it totally revolutionized my thought process of like what I liked, how I liked stuff, and my influence of like not hearing everybody else's opinions of like you should like this for this, you
Right.
shouldn't like this because you like that.
Yeah.
I'll like what I want to like.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was an interesting story.
Yeah.
What
When I was
Creed's
younger,
other song? Creed
Um,
had 2 songs.
There was With Arms Wide Open, and they had Should Have Been Dead on a Sunday Morning, Banging My Head. No time for mourning. Ain't got no time.
ain't got no time.
See?
I know. I listened to the album.
He knows. He knows.
Anyway, so yeah, slave labor graphics and the other one I was talking about. I've always been more drawn to the indie stuff. So yeah, Squee and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac couldn't get more weird for me.
Higher. It was high.
take me higher to a place where a blind man see?
I got headphones on. Think of what that's doing to me. TR, what's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the box?
We're going to do mine last because it's funny.
All right, JP,
Okay.
tell us about this little figure here.
Yeah, just a fun little figure here. Just a cool, quick little story. This is an old Mage Knight figure. Mage Knight was a miniatures game that had a dial before HeroClix.
Okay.
So it kind of revolutionized the miniature gaming because they came pre-painted. They came with a dial, the stats already there.
Yeah.
And it was a miniature combat game. You played with a ruler and dice, but you didn't have to keep tracks on a sheet or anything. Like,
Yep, it was built in.
it was like Warhammer Light. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to paint it or anything. You opened the box, you built your army, you played. But it was a huge miniatures game at Rainbow even back in the day. So when I was a kid, I was playing this game at Rainbow. But one day, this is advanced 20 years. I work there now. I was going in the back to find some Mage Knight figures because
Sure.
we had a box of them in the back. Which
You knew
missed
they were
figures.
around. Yeah.
It was just a slush box, and somebody wanted to know if we had any. So I grabbed the box, I opened the box, and I was like, "Oh, cool, Troll Chieftain! That's my favorite character that I used every time I played an army. I had my Troll Chieftain.
Yeah.
This was my guy."
So you snuck him out of the box before you went to the customer, didn't you?
Well, I flipped. The funny story is I flipped them to the bottom because they gave you these stickers that you could stick on the bottom of your figure, and you could write your initials on it. So you kept track of like, well, if I'm facing another Troll Chieftain, which
Yeah.
one's mine? Well, you flip it over, and you wrote your initials on the bottom. So I was in the back, and I flipped the box open, and he's sitting there, and I flipped him over, and he's got my initials
No,
on it.
that is that
That's crazy.
is that
That's
ser-
crazy.
Seriously,
This is-
you got that back
Yes.
from after a kid of it disappearing somewhere.
I had
and-
sold my Mage Knight figures to Rainbow
yeah.
getting out of the game because the game was dying. They were going through a
So you,
Mage Knight.
okay.
They
So
went
you,
through a
you remember getting it to Rainbow.
Yes,
Oh,
it was a Mage Knight 2.0 thing
Yeah.
that happened, and that's when they wrecked the game. They basically reprinted all the figures, changed the dials to green, and then told you all your old figures were useless. Like you couldn't use this anymore because you need to buy the new stuff.
That's the kiss of death.
Exactly.
Skylanders had it right where all of their new figures for the games. I mean, my kids were into Skylanders, so we would have to get the figures for the first game, and then the next year, the next game would come out for Christmas, right? And then a whole new set of figures. The nice thing is when they made a backwards compatible, because they had a gaming platform where you had to put the action figures on it.
Yeah.
And right.
Yeah, and then you play them in the game.
Yeah,
Great idea.
it was really cool because marketing was huge because you had to buy the characters. You already paid $60 to $80 because it wasn't just a game; it had the portal, they called it.
Yep.
Okay, so but the best thing they did was make it backwards compatible because all of your figures would work with the newest game.
Right.
So my children had just enormous collections because out of the three boys, not only did we get one character, we had to get three of them. They all felt they had to have one.
Damn right. Yeah, they had to have their own version of that.
Yeah.
Same character.
And some of them had different versions, like you just said. This is the whatever version.
But yeah, moral of the story is this sat in the back of Rainbow for probably over a decade.
That's awesome.
Just sitting in a box. I thought I'd lost it to time. I always fondly remembered my Mage Knight figures, and I was like, man, I really just out of the one character, I really would have just wish I kept this.
I hear
one.
a siren.
There was a siren outside. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I live very close to a firehouse.
Right.
Okay. So
So I found it. I took it out of the box. I went to that customer and I said, "Excuse me, sir." I told him the quick story. I said, "That's my name on the bottom of this figure. This figure is how many years old? This is mine. I'm taking it." And then Brian was like, "Seriously, that's yours from back in the day?" And I was like, "Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
It's got my initial on it.
That
That's
is-
JP, man.
What's
That's me."
crazy is okay. So, you brought your stuff in. You remember doing it, and
Yep.
then later discovering that they pretty much just took your box of stuff and set it in the back.
I went through most of it. There wasn't another JP on there,
So
so we
somehow
probably sold a lot of it, and then just this one just didn't move.
Yeah.
And then this was just my favorite figure. I had him in every army. This was my guy.
So that's crazy.
Yep.
You guys
So
want to hear
then
a funny story?
I started to touch him up a little bit. Like that bright green is actually me. I painted that and I redid his silver.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to repaint him because
Nice.
I'm into painting now.
And you display him now? I mean, you don't play
Yep.
the game, do you?
He sits. Well, I play Warhammer now. This game's long dead. You'd struggle to find any figures to play with.
Yeah.
So he just sits on my shelf as like, hey, this is
Yeah.
old mini man.
He's a fun story.
Absolutely. Troll Chieftain.
All right. So, guys, we are
Elemental
like
Squad.
10 minutes over already of our hour that we take. TR, what's in the box?
box?
JP, I'd like you to go ahead and just read that label.
All right. It says Aldersown vaginal insufflator.
What's an insufflator?
So it takes a powder and foofs it
Right up.
into an orifice,
It's
basically.
It's a
It's a bellows for.
for.
Is that what it is?
Kind of,
Okay.
yeah, kind of.
Why do you
A,
have
a
this?
bellows for the cooch.
Why do you have this?
So the
Weird
pawn
medical.
I don't even
shop,
want to touch it.
the pawn shop near where I live.
He still hasn't opened it, folks.
Old medical.
No, I've opened it.
I mean,
It
not
has-
to us.
Now is this thing like snake oil?
It
or-
has two
oh my
blue balls
God.
in it.
We need to end this podcast later right now. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Okay, tell the story.
No, that's it. We're done. We're smashing grab comics.
Later.
What the fuck?